I'm going to show the beginning. If someone is absent today, they can check the evens. I'm going to scroll to the bottom.
What if you don't? What if you know that you got it like most of it, and you don't need a check?
Okay, we're going to turn it in like 2 seconds.
I know how you get. Crazy.
Okay, eyes over here on the sideboard, real quick. Some of you might still be checking. If so, go ahead and take another second or two to do that. But let's do a quick recap of section 9.3. If you have a squared equaling a positive number, these hands that are raised, I only want them to be answers. I'll take questions in a moment. Only answers. Yeah? Aiden, if you have a squared equal to a positive, 2 answers. Good. And how do I find both those answers? 2 separate equations using, how do I undo a square root, everybody? Square root. So I need to do a square root of both sides, whatever that positive number is. So x is going to equal plus or minus square root of whatever that positive number is, and I'll say that's a positive d as opposed to a negative d. So we need to square root, Dylan, this was a big thing that you and I were working on yesterday. And others as well. Angel, remember, square root, not squared. Angel, why are we talking? I know. Here we go. Oh, thank you for apologizing. Coming on back. To undo a squared square root, there are going to be 2 different answers, a positive and a negative, which is why at the beginning of homework, do you guys see which ones had 2 different answers? This one did. You can put plus minus, or you can put positive 20, negative 20. If you have plus minus, I will also take that answer. You can have plus minus 13 or positive 13, negative 13. I don't mind. Jay, what's going on with the second one? 1 answer, and how do we find it? Same thing, square root. And when I square root, I still do positive, negative, but what's the root of 0? 0 times 0 is 0. So x will just equal 1 answer of 0. And then last but not least, Josh, how do I do the last one?
No solution.
No solution. When I square root or I try to square root, and you guys could try to do this in your calculators. Hopefully you tried on your calculators last night. The calculator will say error. Anytime you try to put in a square root of a negative, it will say error. Now hold on, wait. Why am I about to remind you that you need to have a scientific calculator here tomorrow?
Because the scientific
Square root.
When you square root, and it's not a nice square root, some of those are fractions, they're kind of ugly.
Somebody
They're not bad. Here we go. Was this a nice square root?
No.
Was this a nice square root?
No.
Neither was that one. Now, maybe you don't think any square roots are good or nice.
Nope.
However, these are even worse than like the square root of 4 is 2. Alan's got a question, but go ahead. What's up?
He was asking if I understood section 1, so I can help him out.
Okay. Yeah, section 1 is where we're going to start today because, guys, as soon as we check these evens, I'm going to actually have you guys listen carefully. If you have no questions on homework, I'm going to have you pass up the homework right now. If you do have questions on homework, hold on to it because in a second, I'm going to let you guys just start working on the review on your own, quietly. And I'm going to go around and answer as many questions as I can on homework or the review. So, anyone who has homework ready for me right now, and you're like, I don't have any questions, pass it up. Any more homeworks? You're like, I don't need any more time for questions. I'm good to go. Any more homeworks? Ready to go? Any more homeworks? Ready to go? Okay. For those of you guys that have questions on homework, I'll be available in just 1 second. I'm going to get back to the notes, and here's the reason why. I already took a picture. Oh, took forever. I know, right? I already took a picture of your quiz review. You guys see the problems up above, right? What do you see right here?
1 to 15, 19 to 21.
I got them ready. So if you want to, you can open up your book. If you don't want to, let's just start working on the quiz review. I'll scroll down in a little bit, but Alan was asking about section 9.1, and that's actually, Alan, thank you for asking that, because that's, I think, the hardest section out of all of chapter 9 is 9.1.
Are the answers back in the back of the book for this one?
Oh, is it not? The chapter reviews in the back, Justin, or none of these answers in the back?
What are you doing with the homework?
Oh, I'll take it. If you have no questions, Alan. Okay, Angel, where's that paper where you put the assignment for the quiz review? We're working on it right now.
Miss, do you mind if I grab a calculator?
What is?
Oh wait, I'm good.
You don't actually need it for.
So Kenny Coast has.
I guess you can.
Bracket on the calculator.
Why don't you go grab one and I'll show you.
I'll show you how to do it.
All right, guys, listen up. So, quiz review. Let's go ahead and start working. Some of you have your homework at your desk, and I expect to see your hands in a second so I can kind of explain a question you had on homework. The rest of you guys, if you want to come borrow a calculator because you don't know how to use it, you can borrow one, but tomorrow, do I have enough calculators for everybody?
No.
No, it's
I
first
reserve
come.
one.
Nope, you're not reserving it. No, that's not something that What I'm saying is, make sure you have a calculator here tomorrow, and then the couple that might forget will give grace. Now listen, if there aren't enough calculators for everyone in the room, I'm not gonna let anyone borrow one of mine. Okay? Because it's not fair at that point for me to let some people borrow it and some people not. So, bring your scientific calculators that you're supposed to have from your school list, and then the couple, hopefully, the 2 or 3 that don't have it. But if everyone just decides to bank on me having one, if I don't have enough for everyone who's missing one, no one gets one. It won't be the person's fault that doesn't have it, it'll be everyone's fault for not bringing it.
I left mine in the gym.
Yeah, so everyone takes it. Okay, ready? Set. I'm gonna get a whiteboard so I can explain stuff as I walk around. Go, work on your quiz review.
Is it a quiz or?
It's a quiz review.
And how many times?
Well, you guys, according to, didn't you write down the assignment? Odds is the assignment. If you choose to do the evens, that will be bonus. I will give you, this is the homework for tonight. This is homework 52. Okay, we make it a little bit bigger. Some of you might not have written it down when I instructed earlier, you distracted me. Does anybody have any homework questions on last night?
I don't think so.
Because
We're not. The date is good.
Billy and Caleb, I really don't want to give you more problems than you already have. There's no excuse. It's on the board. Your paper should be out. Yeah, I know. But I want you to see how much you can get from it, okay? Because I can answer some questions now also. But I will be.
Oh wow, that's
you know me.
Okay, with the up here, remember like these, how would you solve these ones?
Hey.
Exactly. So, 26 is the exact same. When do we subtract? Now, hold on. Right back. X equals 18. Like you showing me work. According to that, how do we undo a square? Of a positive number, which would be at the top.
Square root, yeah.
Does that make sense? Now, yeah. It's not impossible, it's just not pretty. It's not 16, it's not 9, it's not 25. This is when you need. This is why Johnny is saying have one for tomorrow.
So that.
I write that whole thing.
So you can do that. How many answers are there? You can give me 2 decimals. Does that make sense?
They don't have questions.
Okay, because that is the square root. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay.
So let's see if we can get a couple of the other ones. Probably. if you guys had a question on number 1.
I just need to learn how to do it
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah, me too.
Well, you need
Yeah,
to
me too.
remember
Yeah,
how to
Remember how to do
Okay.
the algebra.
Yeah, me too.
I see a lot of hands. Number 1.
What is this? Okay. Calculator's so
Fascinated, it's a school diary.
Hey guys, if you're stuck on number 1, I get you. I told you 9-1 was hard, so let's talk about it.
911?
I'm answering your question.
That's what I got.
If it's about your calculator, we have to
Calculator.
Kiddos. Quiet down. We need to split up this 112. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on him. We need to split up what's underneath. The product property of square root say, or says, we can take the square root of the number times the square root of the variable. We're allowed to split up the square roots when there's multiplication going on or division going on. Now we have to ask ourselves, are there any pairs? Remember, square root, pairs of 2. Are there any squares?
Yes.
Now, if you notice x cubed, think about writing him out. That's x times x times x. Is there a pair of 2?
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm going to write the x squared, but is that all there is?
No.
No, there's also an x alone, right?
Yes.
So we can split x cubed to be x squared and x. So x times x, that's 2 of them. Another x, that's 3. Now 112, if you guys want, this is what we did in class. We would think about each of these and we would say, are there any pairs? And what I just said was yes. There's x squared, which is why I split it up. I'll get it over here. 112. What goes into that? Okay, so we can say 2 times 2 times 23. If you were to divide 112 by 2, you guys are trying to think about how to do this. You would divide by 2 and get 56. 56, you would divide by 2 and get 20. It was 28, isn't it?
I think so.
Oh, I'm dumb.
It's 28. Can't we break down 28 even more?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Maybe we shouldn't have just stopped there. 28 is 4 times 7, true?
Yeah.
And 4 is 2 times 2. How to factor? You divide and keep dividing, right? So, question. Do I have any pairs? And the answer is?
Yes.
Yes.
2.
I have 2 pairs of 2, and if you guys want, you can say that's 2 pairs of, yeah. So we could say 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. So we could write 16, or we could do all the 2's and circle 2 of them, right? And I'm going to erase my factoring tree. That was just to get all the numbers. Okay, if we need to break down that 112. We can go ahead and say, let's see, 2 squared is 4, right? So the square root of 2 squared, cutting down my 112. I have a pair of 2's. I have another pair of 2's, and what else do I have?
7.
And I have a 7. So I'm just breaking this down based on what these individually break down to be. So if 112 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 7, remember we pair up the pairs, so then we say, okay, 2 squared, 7. That gets my pair of 2's, and 7. I have my pair of x's and then single. What happens to all the pairs under a square root? What happened up there when we had a squared and a square root? It cancels. So I get to cancel all of these square roots that have squared. So what's left? Just a 2.
X.
Just a 2. A square root 7. Just an x and a square root x. How do I write this nicely? Yeah, multiply everyone outside of the house and everyone inside the house, right? So, everybody outside of the house, that's going to be 2 times 2 times x, which is 4x. And everybody inside the house,
7X.
you guys got it?
Hey.
I do not remember.
This is so easy. It's so good.
It was section 9.1. You spent like 4 days.
So.
You just have to remember. We're looking for the pairs. We're breaking down the pieces, looking for the pairs. Looking for the squares, I should say, probably. So now that you guys have number 1, can I zoom out and have you try number 3? Okay, let me zoom out a little bit. It's okay, we have it. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is where a calculator would be nice because a lot of you dividing 625 by 5 could be hard, but in a calculator it might be a little bit easier. All right, go ahead and see what you can do. Ian, what's your question on your calculator, bud? Then Johnny, it's your question. Oh, well, 625 is
No.
Here, pick an easy one that you do. What's the square root of 25? Square root of what?
Or you say
Hey guys, for number 3, what kind of root is it though?
Oh, it's
no, it's a
Oh.
cube root, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, hold on. No solution is really, really good if it was a squared root.
Yep.
But what kind of root is it? It's a cubed root. What we learned about no solution works for square roots, but not cubed roots. Cubed roots are seen as they're a pair of 3. Did anybody figure out what 625 divided by 5 is?
25.
Can you divide by 5 again?
Yes, it's 25.
And then divide by 5 again?
It's 5.
I think there's a pair of 3 in there.
Huh?
Huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What?
What?
You see, I would pass this if it wasn't on that.
It's a scientific concept.
Doesn't work.
You know how to square it.
There's the button. There's the button.
Did you get a 12.5 or 12.3?
So you guys ready for number 3? Sorry, I'm trying to get to you.
No, yeah, it's
Miss
okay.
Buick?
Yeah.
No, it's outside.
Toilet. Baby.
I know how to do it all. Like, I'm so Oh, how did I do that? What is that? I was.
Question, did you guys figure out there are 4 5s?
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
Why is it there?
Guys, listen.
Wait, do we? Okay, so.
Guys, I would love to answer all of your questions, but have you ever figured out that if a million people ask a question at once, one person can't answer a million questions at one time? So we need to focus our attention. I realize some of you are a little stuck, but that's okay. That's why I'm starting to work it out. I'm getting a thinner pen to do so. We have negative 625. Okay, if I do negative 5, because you said there are 4 5s, right?
Yeah.
If I do negative 5 times negative 5, isn't that a positive?
yeah.
Okay, stink, I need another negative 5. That's a negative.
Yeah.
Another one is a positive.
But if I do another one, isn't that going to not work?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. So I can only have how many negatives? I can only have up to, well, I can have 3, right? A negative times a negative times a negative is negative.
Yeah.
Okay? So do I have a pair of 3 negative 5s?
Yes.
Right? Looking for a group of 3 because of my little cube group.
Yeah.
So I'm going to split this up and make this the cubed root of negative 5 cubed. I have a pair of 3 times the cubed root of 5. Because that one little extra one, well, he didn't work in the set of 3, right?
Now you do.
So now I can say, guys, the same way a square root and a
Yes.
square cancels, a cube root
Yeah.
and a cube cancels also. So I can cancel these out and say what's left over. Negative 5 cubed root of 5.
Oh.
It's a cubed root, so I'm taking a pair of 3 this time. The root goes away, the -5 stays, and the cubed root stays.
Yeah,
Okay.
1, 0.
The -5 stays, and the cubed root stays. Can I zoom in on number 5? I'm not going to zoom in, but I'm going to show.
Literally, 2 of my pencils is the length of your foot.
Oh wait,
And it's my pen.
Like number 8?
Yeah, like 7 or 8.
Probably like 1. Might be a bonus, might be a regular,
How
but only
guy
1.
got one question?
Alan, what was your question?
The guy got one question better.
That's one of the ones where you would
1/3. There are 3 sections, so like 1/3.
Okay. I see. Not that long.
Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and erase the work for number 1, because you guys were doing it with me. And if you need to, you can go look at the video. I'm just going to put the answer, because you know how the answers are in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go and just put the answer.
Okay, wait, so.
On number 5, what's the process called when we need to simplify a radical in the denominator? Do you remember?
Oh, do the same.
Rationalize means multiply top and bottom by the same.
Oh, yeah.
It's called rationalizing. Same top and bottom. When there's a square root in the bottom and I can't get rid of it.
What's the first on top you said, rationalize?
No,
Nobody
it's fine.
takes this shit.
Only when it's on the bottom.
I just moved it, yep.
Yeah. Fractions we multiply across, right, Rob?
Right.
No random thing. So then, guys, I have 4 on the outside of the house, 11 on the inside of the house. Do I put them together or no?
Isn't it one?
So I keep them next to each other but separate.
Oh, it's 4.
Now, what happens in the denominator when I have an 11 times an 11? That's a squared, right? 121 or a squared, can't I just make that?
No, you mean it.
So it's 4, yes, and then over 11.
Square roots out of the denominator, we got it.
Hold on, what?
Square root 11.
Oh, that's it?
Square root 11 times square root 11.
Yeah, right?
Now, Angel, what was your question?
I got say you multiply 11
Oh.
times 11, and then you'll say 1.
Yeah, I showed 11 times 11 is 11 squared, just to show you guys the square root's going to cancel. I was trying to show you that property again.
6, 7, square.
But you're right, Angel. 11 times 11 is 121, and if you put the square root of 121, you will get 11.
Oh.
You will get 11.
I get it.
No, you're right. Chicken dinner? How's number 7 going? It's daunting, right? Isn't it scary?
It's like John Cena's scary. It's like Annabelle scary.
Annabelle 2.
Annabelle's cute. What is it?
Alright. Now that we've talked about how scary it is, let's actually try it together Ian. Without me. Jade, Asian, just make sure. Remember, tomorrow only scientific calculators allowed. So for number 7. For number 7, guys, 54 and 343. I'm going to do it down here off to the side. I'm going to erase it in just 1 second. Has anybody figured out what 54 equals?
65.
Okay, for 343.
4, 3.
I think it's 3 times 11 times 11, isn't it? No. What goes into 54? Divided by 2 is 27. If you were to factor out 54, Alan, you would get 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. If you were to factor out 343, you would end up with, who's figured that out yet? 7 times 7 times 7.
Not the factor out X. Is it?
So, I'm going to break this apart. Cubed root of, do you guys see my pair of 3s? Okay, so I'm going to use that 3 cubed, but that's not all. Don't I also have a cubed root of 2?
Yes.
What am I going to do with x to the 4th?
Yeah.
Simplify. I'm going to separate x to the x's and then a separate x, right?
Wait, always keep.
Then if I divide, the cubed root of 343 is the cubed root of 7 cubed, remember? See that there, 3. What can I do with y to the 6th?
Wait, I'm.
Am I going to have 2 sets of 3?
Oh, there's so many.
How do I simplify all this stuff?
Why is number 12 so
Don't the cubed roots cancel? Pause. So I have a 3, I have an x, I have a y, and a y, and a 7. How do I write these? 3x don't have houses on top. What do have cubed roots? 2 and x. On the denominator, 7 doesn't have a house, and y times y doesn't have a house. Now guys, pause and wait.
That is hard.
That was hard. These are the ones that someone just a second ago asked, and they were like, hey, is there anything like number 7 and or 9? You guys see a number, oh wait, no, 9 is different. 7 and 8 are these really big, long, tricky ones. Listen. Good. I'm teaching, give me a second. Number 7 and 8, people asked about those on the quiz. I said there will only be one of them, and it might be bonus, like 7 or 8. But guys, are there simpler ones that you need to know how to do? Yes. I will be here during lunch, I will be here after school. Class is over, the bell has rung. Quiz is tomorrow. Make sure you bring your scientific calculators. If you borrow mine, give it back. I know what they look like.